Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne, and today I'm going to share with y'all how to make lemon curd and all the wonderful yummy ways to use it. These are the ingredients that we're going to be using: some lemons, some eggs, sugar, salt, and we're also going to make a glaze. I'm going to share with you how to make a really easy pastry that your friends and family will think you got from the bakery. Are you ready? So first, what we're going to do to make our homemade lemon curd, and lemon curd is actually very easy to make, really easy ingredients. It's the steps that are most important, and like I always say, what my mom always said, the devil is in the details. I'm going to share with you those details. So first, I have room temperature eggs. I'm using 4 large eggs, and we're going to separate out our eggs. And this is probably the most difficult thing to do for making lemon curd, is really just kind of separating out the eggs. And so I'm going to save the egg whites, and I'll have a recipe down below that you can use the egg whites to make some really great meringue cookies, and I'll put that information in the description box below, as well as a list of ingredients you need to make this wonderful lemon curd. And lemon pie filling and lemon curd are actually two separate things. Lemon pie filling or lemon filling is thicker, it's more gelatinous, and it's mostly used to make just like pies, and it's also you use a thickener such as flour or cornstarch, where lemon curd is smoother and it's creamier, and we don't use cornstarch or flour. You're just going to be using your egg yolks, your lemons, and we're also using our sugar, and we're also going to put in some butter. So in order to make it, after I have separated out the eggs, I put in a half a cup of sugar. Now then, to that, you're going to also need to put in a pinch of salt, which is about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So if you don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon measure, go ahead and just put a pinch of salt, which is enough salt to basically fit between your 2 fingers, okay? And so once you have your pinch of salt, your half a cup of granulated sugar, and your 4 egg yolks that were at room temperature, you want to make sure that you have them in a bowl. I'm using a bowl that's going to be going over my double boiler, and I'll show you how I do my double boiler. So we're going to be using that because we're going to be cooking this on the stove, but over that hot steam that's going to come up from the pot. And you want to go ahead and whisk your ingredients just like I did until your eggs are nice and a beautiful bright yellow. For our lemon zest, we're going to be using my little zester here, and we're going to need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest that we're going to put directly into our mixture for our lemon curd. I'm also going to grate a little extra zest that we're going to put in our glaze that we'll be using for our pastries as well. And this recipe is an old school recipe. It's been around for several decades, and I love this one because it hits just right of that perfect sweet and tanginess, and it's just right there, and it's really versatile because you can use it on your toast, you can use it for your pastries, and it makes a wonderful gift, a wonderful homemade gift to give to people, especially the holidays. Before we know it, the holidays will be upon us, and so this is another just nice gift that you can give to people. It's going to make a half a pint, and that's what I usually put in a half pint jar, and a half pint jar is equivalent to a cup, so you can also do quarter pints as well. So this is the pot that I'm going to be using, and so you want to have enough water where you can get a nice rolling boil, but you do not want the water to touch the bottom of your bowl, okay? So I always make sure that my water is not touching the bottom of my bowl. Also, before I put my bowl onto my boiling water, I put in 4 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. So I do that right before I put the pot of the egg mixture, which was the egg, the sugar, the salt, and the lemon zest. I added in those 4 tablespoons of the fresh squeezed lemon juice. Make sure your bowl is nestled into the pot of boiling water. Now once my water is nice and it's boiling, I go ahead and I lower it from a high temperature of my heat to a medium high. Okay, so I want to lower it to a medium high my heat, and then you want to start whisking just like I'm doing, and you don't want to stop. You want to keep on whisking. You're going to be going back and forth. You're going to be whisking for about 8 minutes, about 8 to 10 minutes, because you're going to be whisking until your mixture starts to thicken up on you. Now this is the part where things can kind of get off the rails. A couple of things that are details that are important is that you want to use a glass, a tempered glass like I'm using. This one is a Pyrex. You do not want to use a metal pan or a bowl, because if you use a metal bowl, what will happen is your lemon curd will take on a little aftertaste of like a metallic aftertaste. Avoid that. You want to make sure that you're using a nice glass bowl like I'm using, but use Pyrex, something that's tempered, that you'll be able to put over the heat just like I'm doing. Now as you're whisking, you're going to see that your mixture is going to develop like a slight creamy looking foam. Keep on whisking, keep on going. You're wanting to cook your eggs and you're wanting to thicken up your mixture. You're going to have the little pieces in there. That's from the lemon zest, but from time to time you do want to look at your mixture, and as you see how it's thickening up, how I'm just keep whisking and it's thickening up, you also are doing this because we don't want to have our mixture turn into scrambled eggs at all. And also with our mixture, as you see how it's thicker where it's starting to stick to the sides of the bowl, now I switch over to my wooden spoon. You want to have a wooden spoon because you want to check for the consistency. And so I look at the back of the spoon. See how it's sticking to the back of the spoon? It's just about there. I want it just a tiny bit thicker. And then when I take my finger across the back, you see how that streak stays? Then you know, yeah, you're just about there. We're just going to go ahead. I'm going to mix it for just about a minute more. And that's going to bring me right around to the 9-minute mark. And then I'm just going to keep moving everything around the bowl because we don't want to have also any scrambled eggs. And so for whatever reason, if you have little scrambled pieces in your bowl, you can always take it through a nice fine mesh. A nice fine mesh, a strainer, and then that way you can make it nice and smooth if you end up having any little pieces. Now the last thing I do is I went on and I turned my fire off, and I'm adding in butter. We're putting in 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and I put them in 1 tablespoon at a time. And again, I'm doing this while my fire is off, and you want to continue to mix. Now something else as far as having the scrambled eggs show up in your lemon curd, that meant that your fire was up way too high, and it also meant that your water was touching the bottom of your bowl. So make sure that your water is not touching the bottom of your bowl. You start your fire off at high, but then you lower your fire to a medium high, and you're whisking, and you continue to whisk constantly your mixture. Now the butter is going to make our lemon curd that nice texture, that nice creaminess, and so be sure to use your butter, and that's 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And as it continues to cool, it is also going to continue to thicken up. Now once all of our butter has melted into our lemon curd, what you want to do is you're going to go ahead, you want to take it off the stove, and what I do is I just sit mine on my countertop, and we're going to put a piece of plastic wrap right on top of our lemon curd, because this is going to make sure that we don't get that skin that can form on top of our lemon curd. So you want to go ahead and just nestle that plastic wrap, make sure it's touching all the different areas of your lemon curd. Now we're going to let this sit on our countertop and let it come up to room temperature. Once it comes up to room temperature, then we're going to go ahead and put it in the refrigerator. But remember, first you want to let it come up to room temperature. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. Now once it's at room temperature and I've put it in the refrigerator, I let it chill for about 4 to 6 hours, and now I take it out and I put it inside of my half pint jar, and it'll keep in an airtight container. either a plastic container or either a jar, a glass jar like I use, and it'll keep in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 weeks. You can also freeze lemon curd, and you can freeze it also in a freezer container, and it'll freeze up to a year. When you're ready to use it, you just simply take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw in the refrigerator, and then you're good to go. Well, one thing that we like to do is put on our scones. I like to also put it on my bagel. It's great with the cream cheese and the lemon curd mixture on a bagel. But one of the favorite ways we like to do it is when I make it with the puff pastry. Now, when you make these right here, your family will think you got them from a bakery. I'm going to share with you how to make these. So this is the puff pastry that I like to use. You can also use the puff pastry shells if you can find the shells. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find the shells, but I get the sheets instead. And you'll typically find this in the freezer section, kind of by the pie crust. You'll find it in the freezer section. So this comes in 2 sheets, and each sheet has about 4 panels per each sheet. We're just going to be using 2 of the panels, and we're going to make a total of 6 pastries. You can also make more pastries if you like, but today I'm just going to make 6 so I can just share with y'all how I do that. Now, you want to keep this frozen, so when you bring it home, you want to put it in your freezer. When you're ready to use it, you take it out, you get the sheets that you want, and then I let the sheets go ahead and thaw on my countertop. Once they unthaw, and it doesn't take them long to unthaw, usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes, kind of depending on if it's really hot outside or whatnot, but usually it takes about maybe 20 to 30 minutes for these to unthaw. Once they're nice and unthaw, you want to work with them quickly. Now, if you are still with me, I hope you are enjoying the content. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel, because on my channel, I love to share what I'm cooking and baking for my family in my kitchen. So next, what I do is I'm using my muffin tin, and I'm going to spray the muffin tin, and I'll be using every other muffin tin because as they puff up and bake, you don't want them to bake together or stick together, so you want to vary and use every other muffin tin. I'm going to separate my 2 panels, and on each panel I'm going to get 3 of the puff pastry that we're going to be making, and so that'll give us the total of the 6 that we want. And like I said, you can definitely make more. You would want to use 2 muffin tins, so that way you can stagger the puff pastry, so that way you don't have them baked together. So in my bowl I have my 1 large egg, and I also put 1 tablespoon of water. I go ahead and scramble that real good, because that's going to be the egg wash to make everything nice and beautiful golden brown around the edges, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So I just kind of roll it out, because you do kind of want to roll and flatten out your puff pastry. You're going to almost double the sheet in size, and so use just a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. Roll it out, and then once I have it rolled out, I divide my sheets into 3, and then I'm putting them inside the muffin tins that I went on and I sprayed. I only sprayed the 10 cups, the muffin tins that I was using, and you just want to press it down just like I'm doing there. Nestle it in there and make sure that it's flat on the bottom of that inside part of the muffin tin, and then on the sides, make sure that you raise the sides, because as it bakes and it puffs, sometimes what can happen is our filling can kind of come off the sides, so you want to make sure that the sides are also covered with all of the puff pastry as well. Now, while I'm doing this, I have my oven preheating on 400 degrees. Now, this also works with the mini muffin tins as well, and so you can also do this with the mini muffin tins, and then you would skip every other one just like I'm doing, and make sure that you also spray your muffin tins as well. And so just continue to nestle it just like that. Now, once I have all of the puff pastry down inside of the tins, because as it bakes, it's also going to form that cup that we need. Go ahead and brush the egg wash around the outside, just the outside. Now, if a little bit drips inside the inside of the tin, inside the inside part of the cup, that's okay. Don't worry about that. But you just want to go ahead and brush around all around the outside edge. I then use my scooper to fill my pastries, and what I use is, this scooper is about a tablespoon. Now, if you're using the smaller tins, then you want to use just a couple of teaspoons, but this that I'm using is about a tablespoon that I put, and you just want to use a tablespoon because as it bakes it will go ahead and fill in the rest of them. So I'm going to put this in the oven at 400 degrees, and it's going to bake for about 15 to 18 minutes, but check it around 10 minutes, 12 minutes to see how they're baking up. Well, they are out of the oven. They have baked for 15 minutes. They look good. They are smelling good. I'm going to let them cool just for a bit, and then once they cool for a little bit, then we'll take them out of the tin and let them finish cooling on our cooling rack. Now when I go to remove them, something that I do is I use my little paring knife, because sometimes with the egg wash around the outsides the pastry will stick just a little bit, and so just use that paring knife just to gently lift up any of the edges. And then I use my offset spatula where I go ahead and I scoop them out of the tins. We're going to let them cool, and then while they're cooling I'm going to make a quick glaze. In my bowl I have a couple of pinches of fresh lemon zest. Then to that I put a half a cup of powdered sugar, a half a teaspoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and I'm putting in 2 teaspoons of milk, and my milk I'm using is 2%. You can use 2% milk or either whole milk, and then I go ahead and give it a stir. What I'm looking for is a particular consistency where I'll be able to drizzle right onto the pastry, and this drizzle, that finishing drizzle that we're going to do, helps it to have that nice bakery look and feel to it. And so again, the glaze was 2 pinches of fresh lemon zest, a half a cup of powdered sugar, a half a teaspoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and 4 teaspoons of milk. Then I go ahead and I drizzle. I like to do a zigzag pattern, and I just go back and forth just like that. Just like that. Now if you don't want to use a glaze, you can substitute using the glaze for just dusting the tops with powdered sugar. When you do that, you do want to make sure that your pastries are 100% cool, so that way the powdered sugar doesn't melt onto the pastry. So once the pastry is totally cool, you can go on and use powdered sugar, and just go ahead and put the powdered sugar and just do it right on top. But I love this glaze, and it just looks so good and it pairs so nicely. Well, this is what our lemon curd that we made from scratch, our puff pastry that we did. These have come out so nicely. I'm going to give y'all the first bite. Go ahead and take your bite. Now I'm going to take my bite and see how we did. Oh my goodness. These are so good, y'all. These are so good. The homemade lemon curd, it is just perfection. Well, I hope you give this recipe a try, and I hope that you enjoyed spending time with me today in my kitchen. If you are not subscribed, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video and appreciate the content, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up and click share, and share this video with a friend or family. And don't forget to click that notification bell so you can come back and visit me again in my kitchen. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.